Hi, I'm Ira Dubey, and I'm on the Between Us by Anamika podcast with the beautiful Anamika. And this is going to be Between Us.
Sweera, it's so lovely to have you here. I think after watching Dear Zindagi and Aisha, and I know you've done a lot of other stuff, which I haven't spoken about yet, which we can dive into. But I'm so grateful to have this evening with you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
So I'm just going to jump straight into it.
Please do.
So you were in Dear Zindagi, and the movie was a lot about mental health. And people are speaking more about mental health, but not as much.
Yes.
So, do you feel the movie impacted the way you look at mental health?
I think
any way?
in mainstream commercial, if you want to call it that, Indian cinema, right from the 70s or the 80s, I think we haven't really visited this topic that
We really
much.
haven't.
So I think when
Yeah.
Gauri Shinde, who directed the film, brought this script to me, I think the first thing that really struck me about it was that it was about coming of age in a very realistic way.
Yeah.
You know, it was very much about dealing with your mental health and being accepting of that it is something that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Like my sister is a therapist. I have had my
Lovely.
own experience with therapists, therapy, mental health over the years for this last several decades. And I feel that we don't talk about it enough.
We don't
I
talk about it
remember
enough,
when
yeah.
this film called Udan came out long ago. Again, it was one of those moments which was a defining moment for me, I think, as an actor, as a storyteller, that it was a film about an alcoholic dad and his two children, you know. And again, I feel we don't talk about these things enough.
We don't talk about them enough at all.
Yeah. So I think Dear Zindagi really broke ground with that.
Yeah,
you know?
even
And
though
then it had
Insomnia,
Alia, and then it had Shah Rukh. And that was one potent combination. So, I mean, what else do we need, right? So I think, yeah, it was quite a pivotal kind of a film as far as mental health
Health
goes.
is concerned.
Yeah.
What has been your experience with therapy? Like, is it something you would recommend?
Definitely. I think, again, 20 years ago, it was still something in India that was very taboo. I think we didn't, the generations that came before us, we do come from a pretty much a traditional conservative kind of a culture.
We
That's
do.
the truth, you know. No matter how much we believe, and we are just 0.11% of this country, that we are very liberal and we are very modern, and a lot of this country is still very conservative.
And I feel like the whole idea of therapy is still very stigmatized.
Yeah, it is stigmatized, and I feel that we need to break that.
Yeah,
You
we
know?
do.
There's nothing wrong with getting help or getting help from a person who has expertise. See, life
Absolutely.
is, as the Buddha says, life is suffering. Life, unfortunately, I don't want to be dark at the beginning of our chat.
No, I think the pessimism has set
I don't
in
mean to put
already.
everybody off, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to get heavy either. What I mean is life throws you all kinds of challenges.
It
and
does.
to deal with, to navigate, to deal with, to find your own way of dealing with. I mean, people have various ways they do it.
Yeah.
You could meditate, you could dance, you could journal.
I
you
agree.
know,
Yeah.
there are many ways to do
I've
it.
myself
but-
tried a bunch.
yeah,
Dancing,
and
journaling,
if you feel
therapy.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I don't know what works for you best,
Yeah.
but I mean, for someone it may be journaling, for someone
Yeah.
it may be singing, for someone it may be exercise, for someone it may be meditation.
Absolutely.
And for someone it could be therapy. You know,
Yeah.
so I think there's no one clear route, but to take care of your peace of mind, to take care of your mental health is absolutely essential. I mean, we
It
do
is.
it for our bodies. Why would we not do it for our brain?
Yeah, I feel like people are so focused on the physical that somewhere the mental isn't given as much importance, I guess.
It's silly, maybe because
Yeah.
also there is, again, like I said, there's so much conditioning.
Yeah.
We live in a culture that conditions you from the minute you're born. The minute you're
every way.
born, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you're conditioned so much, you form patterns, and thoughts are just fleeting. You know, again, I'm not going to get philosophical and spiritual
I
and
would
go
love
too
to
deep.
hear, actually.
but yeah, thoughts are nothing. Thoughts are just fleeting things, like clouds, as they say in spiritual sort of language.
Yeah.
So we can't really hold on to those and define ourselves with those, because they just come and go.
They come and
so
go.
I think if we learn to understand our mind, which is a wonderful, brilliant, fascinating thing, but also a thing that you can get trapped in.
You really can, I feel.
Yeah. So I think if we learn to understand it and handle it, therapy is just one part of that.
it is genuinely
And
just a
from
very
people
small
who
part.
have the expertise, that's the other important angle of it.
Yeah, if you go to someone who is not really
a
good at their
therapist
work.
is like a doctor, right?
Absolutely.
Is somebody who's helping you, who's trained to help
navigate
you,
that space
to help
with you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think this is wonderful. I think at every point of time when people need it or feel they need it, they should just
They should
reach
just
out and
take
do
help.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
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 Ira, I had another question. So you're working in an industry which is running on visibility and validation. So how hard, as a female working in that space, is it to sort of navigate through that space?
So, as far as visibility and validation goes, I think that you have to cater to the world that you live in.
Yeah.
I think Amitabh Bachchan is a stellar example. Somebody who's really kept up with the times, the decades that he has passed through in this industry, and the way that he conducts himself, and the way that he keeps in touch with the world as it is today.
Yeah.
Is extremely inspiring. So, I mean, of course, you have to cater to the fact that you live in a world where visibility and validation seem to rule, but you have to know what they are. You have to know that they're very
Absolutely,
unreal, they're bubbles. That is not life. So, as long as one recognizes that, then it's okay. Then you as an actor, you have to wear many hats.
Yeah.
You have to do many things when you're in the public eye. I think in any field, not just
Yeah.
acting, you have to don many different avatars.
Yeah.
So this is one of those avatars. As long as you know it's an avatar, that's all I feel.
Yeah. So you donated trees in honor of your mum.
Yeah.
So usually people do so many things. Why did you specifically feel the need to do something?
Well, yesterday I watched this really adorable. I don't know if you guys are aware of the gorilla Coco. There was this gorilla that they trained in sign language to learn English.
Okay.
And yesterday, I've reposted it before also, and it's one of my favorite videos on the internet about how this gorilla is giving human beings her last message. So she's giving human beings her last final message, and she's talking about how she loves Earth and she loves being a gorilla and she loves being, part of this planet, and she loves human beings also, but human beings are very stupid. And how they need to take care of the earth and protect the earth. I find it just so incredible. So I don't know. I mean, to answer your question, don't you think we need to protect our Mother Earth? I mean,
We do.
What are we doing? What
Yeah.
exactly are we doing? I mean, this is all we have. This is our home. So I think
Absolutely.
when somebody did reach out to me, it wasn't specifically for this reason,
Yeah.
but they reached out to me about planting trees, and I said I'd like to do it for this reason,
Yeah.
and I would love to do it regularly.
Yeah.
It's not something that I just did on a whim, and it's also the things that you do in silence, without having to
Make too much noise
about it. And of course, like I said, like the previous question we just talked about,
Yeah.
that validation, visibility is all part of
Yeah.
the world today. So you do put it out there, but it's also the small things that you do on a daily basis,
Without anyone
to
knowing
protect the
in silence.
environment. I
Yeah.
mean, it's absolutely essential. There is no discussion about this. That we have to protect our environment completely.
Yeah. So Ira, you worked in Aisha, and how do you think chick flicks, like it took a lot of inspiration from Jane Austen. Do you think Aisha has changed the way Bollywood looks at chick flicks?
I think so. I still meet people, Anamika, young
Yeah.
girls from a different generation who love the film, who identify me as Pinky Bose. I mean, I can't get her off my shoulder, that character. Of course, I love her to bits and pieces also, and I have to say that I remember being cast as Pinky by Rajshri Ojha, the director, and I remember meeting Riya and Sonam and Karan Bolani, who's our first AD and Riya's partner, and now a very good director himself, and Anil sir, and going into that office. And I remember hearing the story, and I knew it was an adaptation of Emma. And also Clueless, the film, was also an adaptation of Emma. So these references were sort of thrown at me and given to me, and then I was given the script, and I remember feeling like, okay, it sounds really fun, and it's such a wonderful world, and I haven't really seen a chick flick like this in India before, and and we had all these thoughts about it, but when we actually started making it, and it was a combination of so many wonderful factors, including the cast. The music, it was Amit Trivedi's first soundtrack. It was the fashion. It was the
fashion
team.
was beautiful
The team that
in that
came
movie.
together to make that film. Something about the ingredients were just right.
Even
And
Sonam was like perfect for that role. You were
Sonam
perfect
was
for that
wonderful.
role.
And I think it was the world that we created,
Yeah.
and that world was one in which it was okay to have. I think also another thing that really stayed with me today, now when I think about Aisha, because I've spoken about that film a lot, is the value of female friendship.
Yeah.
Really. it's really, I think that's something that has struck a chord with generations of young women.
Absolutely.
And I think that for me is something really special, which now when I talk about the film, I really understand in a different way, with a different perspective.
And especially as you grow older,
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
your female friendships become closer and closer and
Yes,
closer.
and
which
more
I feel
important.
More important.
And have
yeah.
a different place in your life.
Yeah.
Very different place in your
Which
life.
initially you undervalued, and then over a period of time, you're like, no, these are the most important friendships.
Well,
probably.
that's so true, Anamika,
Yeah.
because women are complicated creatures. They're
Yeah.
complex creatures. They're far more emotional,
Yeah.
and I would say in a way richer.
Yeah.
The richer sex in some ways. Don't get me wrong, I love men, but
Yeah.
they're simple. Most of them are pretty
They're simple. They're not as
and I feel that the fashion is the other element as far as Aisha goes. That really, that what I was saying was that I heard all this information and then I walked into the office. I'll never forget. And there was
Yeah.
Pernia Qureshi, who was a stylist on the
Yeah.
film. And we were in this room and there were racks of clothes everywhere. And I remember her showing me these racks of clothes which were costumes options for Pinky.
Pinky.
And I remember going home and telling my sister, you know, my God, these clothes are, the styling for
It reminds
her
me of Devil Wears
is
Prada.
so out there.
Yeah.
It's so out there. It's so fearless. It's so unapologetic.
Yeah.
You know, it's so. I thought the styling was one of the really like a character in the film. So I mean, I always say Pernia did a fantastic job, and her team, and you know, the fashion was a thing in that film. But I remember going home and telling my sister, you know, the clothes are really out there. It's like really. She's like, yeah, it sounds just like you. It sounds perfect for you. I'm like, okay.
There was so much shopping happening in that movie as well. Like I feel like there was so much shopping.
Yeah, there was.
I was like, they're just going shopping every day. That's not real.
I know. That's the thing. There was this unreal bubble that we created, which is aspirational.
Yeah.
Which is aspirational. Which is the
But
world
it's
of
not real. I think it's very important for people to know that that's not necessarily real. Girls
I think
are not
the
going shopping every day.
No, they aren't. They aren't, and I don't think that's. I don't think that's. It's fulfilling in any way.
No, it's
in any
really
case. Because these things are all very superficial. But I mean, when you're young, and it was a song, let's not
Yeah.
forget, most of that shopping sequence was
a
a song.
song.
And Bollywood songs are known to be unreal. So, and we had a blast shooting it. And in fact,
Yeah.
the song that I really enjoyed shooting was Sham.
It's a beautiful song. I love
which
it.
we didn't even have the whole thing in the film. So we were all a bit bummed about that because
Yeah.
we shot it in Rishikesh and it's a really beautiful song.
Yeah.
The music is really special in that film as well. So yeah, it was a really special one, and I think it's become a bit of a cult classic.
It really has. I think all of us end up hearing it a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Ira, if you had to go back to your younger self and give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be?
It's all going to work out. It's all going to work out just the way it's supposed to work out.
Like, just don't stress.
I mean, yeah. And I think it's really difficult, this question, because at every stage of life you learn and you complain and you wonder why things happen
Aren't
the way
working
they do.
out, yeah.
Yeah, and then it all falls into place much later. But if there was something, I think there's something which I would still continue to tell myself is love yourself fiercely and first and fiercely.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that answer. So, Ira, if you could rewrite one thing about acting, what would it be?
About the industry,
About the industry.
pay disparity
In
between men and
men
women.
and women. Is
This-
that
I
real?
mean, that's an easy one.
Is that real?
Sexism and pay disparity.
That's real? Genuinely?
Yes, of course.
And on what basis
Very real.
are they kind of like
I mean,
continuing
this is
doing it?
I think we could do another podcast on this question. Because this is the age-old question. There are professions where men are more adept, men are more skilled physiologically, biologically. There are professions where women are more adept, you know,
More
in terms
skilled.
of more skilled. So there is that fundamental difference, if you really want to go deep into it, between men and women.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends and I have heated discussions about this topic. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is something I would want to change for sure. As an actor, the disparity is too large. It's too large.
I've heard so many actresses speak about this, but I think it's just not been addressed at all.
Yeah, people
So-
are afraid, I guess. And also, yes, there is again, it boils down to the mechanics and the optics of how Bollywood works.
Yeah.
A hero sells a film.
Yeah.
So if a hero sells a film, which has changed now,
Yeah, like Rani Mukherjee just did like
there are
Mehran.
many heroines selling films now. So that has changed, that has shifted. So the balance is all shifting, and as it should.
Yeah.
So I think when that was the case, when heroes would sell a film, then it was justified
Yeah.
by producers and by people who were putting money into a film that men are paid more. But I don't think it's necessarily justified anymore. So that has to change.
It should change. And I also think, does ageism play a factor for women, but does not play, like age does not play a factor for men, but it plays a factor for like women?
I think there was a time when it did in the
Yeah.
90s, probably in the early 2000s, but not so much anymore. I think there's a
Evolving.
resurgence of older women actors. OTT has changed the game. It has changed the game of how this industry functions in terms of writing, in terms of content, in terms of acting, in terms of direction, in terms of technical team
Yeah.
skill. Because what's happened with OTT is that the whole world is now accessible to a viewer in a small town in India. So I can watch a show from Russia, Korea, Japan, Sweden, I can watch a show from anywhere in the world. So if we are not on par with the rest of the world, we'll fall way, way behind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing is, and it's the evolution of an industry. Going from less realistic to more realistic, however you want to put it. I
Yeah.
hate these blanket terms, so I don't want to use these labels.
Yeah.
But writing and content and storytelling reflects the world that we live in.
Yeah.
So it has to reflect a more rich, more realistic, more accessible world, because that's what we're seeing. That's the kind of content we're getting from all over the world. So we can't have just the Bollywoodized, glamorized, running around the trees
Unrealistic
formula
version,
kind of
dancing on the
films
road.
anymore. And that change was anyway happening. It was bound to happen.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, there is more interesting, more rich, more full storytelling, which is reflecting in the characters that are being portrayed. And so a lot of older actresses are getting a chance to work,
yeah.
and will continue working, whether it's a Taboo or the brilliant Zeenat Aman, or whether it's so many wonderful actresses who are working and who are getting age-appropriate roles. I mean, and they're iconic roles. I mean, there's Mimi, which was a female-led film. Of course, there's Alia's work, which is fabulous. There is, Shefali
Neena
Shah.
Gupta.
There is Mona, who I just
Yeah.
saw in Kora. I mean, there are women who are doing incredible work. Tilotama, who's a dear friend. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's that I'd refuse to accept. I'm a woman who doesn't believe in age. I think it's just a number. And I think that should not come in the way of anything. Yes, there is an obsession to look young, be young, feel young. I mean, people just want some elixir to fall from manna from heaven to make me look 25 forever and ever.
Yeah.
And I say, bang it. Just
Stop
embrace
it.
yourself.
Yeah, age gracefully.
Embrace yourself. It's beautiful to age. It's got
Yeah.
its own charm. It's got its own grace. It's got its own discovery.
Absolutely.
You know.
Is there any character, Ira, that you played that stayed with you? Like you were like,
Oh,
oh my
yeah.
God, this
I mean-
character has really changed the way I
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 9 Parts, my solo, I think I picked up this play when I was 29 years old. I still believe that I did it. I don't know what possessed me to do it, frankly, when I look at it now, because I play 9 women ranging from 14 to 70. So I don't know what possessed me. And now
Like,
when
how
I
did
think
you do
about
that?
it,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's it's a challenging piece. It's a challenging piece, and it's been such a fulfilling piece. And I think in retrospect, the reason I did it is because my father passed the year after I opened this play, and I believe it's one of the better things that I have done in my career, and I think he needed to see it. So
Yeah.
I like to believe that that's why I picked it up when I was 29 years old, because I don't know what possessed me to do a 80-minute one-woman show. Crazy. So
You
I
must
think
have like practiced and rehearsed and
yeah,
practiced
it
and
was a
rehearsed.
difficult one, and I had to get into the skin of women from Iraq because it's set during the Gulf Wars, and it's about women survivors in a country that has gone through indescribable, terror and trauma and war. So it was difficult psychologically also, I think, because
you
India, we
lost
don't
your
know what
dad
war
and-
is.
Yeah.
We've never lived with war.
That's
So, I mean, considering the Middle East is still, I mean, many parts of the world,
Yeah.
Syria and many other parts, are still going through such horrifying things. I felt it was also something very urgent that I needed to talk about. Not just being a woman, but being a woman in a war-torn country. I'm already getting emotional. My eyes are filling up
Yeah.
talking about it. And being a survivor, experiencing loss and going through that, being an artist, what does it mean? What does it mean? I think it was very, very important for me to express that.
Yeah, it can have such a large impact on so many people.
Yeah, yeah. But the fact that it's very far removed from us, I've never even been to Iraq.
Yeah.
Was
We only
was
get the
was the
news,
challenge.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
line in the play. In fact, one of the characters lives in this bomb shelter, and she lost her entire family to one bombing, American bombing, and she says, this trailer is my witness stand, and people come from all over the world to see what really happened, not what they read in the papers, not what they see in CNN.
There's so much more. I feel like a lot of news is also gatekept.
Yes. Oh my God. The
So,
media is,
yeah.
yeah.
Media puts what it wants to put.
Yeah.
Do you think Indian cinema has been kinder to you in terms of like a nuanced female character?
Like I said earlier, writing has improved vastly. I think writing is the beginning and the end in many ways. It's your spine of anything that you create as a storyteller, and I think writing has gradually over time in the last couple of decades really evolved, and I think it reflects more of a, like I said, a rich landscape. So the kind of parts that you are offered and you get, like the women that I mentioned, the kind of characters they are playing, they're very nuanced. I think it's out there.
It's out there.
It's out there, and it will only get better. I'm a very optimistic person, so I like to believe that things are only going to get better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, Ira, theatre and films are very different energies. What do you miss about theatre when you're doing films and vice versa?
That's a really great question. I think in film, what I miss from theatre is, of course, the live responses. There's an electricity when you do theatre, obviously, because it's a very shared experience. So I miss that. And when I'm doing theatre, what I miss about film is the intimacy of it. The intimacy and the stillness. Because the camera sees everything. You can see inside you, deep inside you. So I think that kind of intimacy and that kind of stillness, I miss that when I'm on stage. I think, but the trick is to try to get both in both.
Yeah. Preferably, of course.
Yeah.
So, Ira, tell us about your creative process when you're trying to like get a character on stage or on screen.
I think it depends a little bit on the character. Though the general standard rule of thumb is that you do the prep, a lot of it depends on how you work. Every actor has their own way. And then you kind of try to be as free as you can when you're on stage or on set. So what I mean by that is, so for 9 parts, for example, and I think even with me, the process differs from role to role. Sometimes you want to do a lot of reading and you want to sort of immerse yourself in a certain time period or a certain way of life and just take in a lot of information and then sit with it and then leave it for a while and go back to it later. Sometimes you go from very, very viscerally from the body. So with 9 parts, I remember just finding the body language of all those 9 women, the voices, the body language, and sometimes it's very organic. You work with the script and then you sort of create a character and then you just let it go. And I think most important thing is in my process, I don't know how it is for other actors, is that I try to feed it a lot and try to do the prep a lot off stage and off camera. And then when I'm on stage and on camera, the main thing is to be present and to listen.
Yeah.
Because acting is reacting. That's it.
So once your prep is done, you just like...
So you try to let it be free and you try to let it just, go where it wants to go. Of course, you have an idea. I mean, an idea is the worst word, actually. You have an understanding. You have an understanding of what this character is, what is the situation, what is my relationship. So if right now I started jumping on the chair and dancing, it would be rather odd because this is a podcast and we're sitting together very elegantly on 2 sofas. So you have to have an understanding of where you are and what the situation is and what my relationship with you is. We're not drunk in a nightclub. We're not my gal pal and I'm not going to pull you into dancing with me. But I could. At a different time, on a different day, we can do that too. We can totally do that too. But this is not the environment to do it in. So I think once you have a deep understanding, of course, I'm giving you a very simple example, but once you have a deep understanding of the situation and the character, acting is to create life. Okay? So if I was not listening to you and I was not aware of the camera there and I was not aware of everybody else in this room and what you're saying to me and what the exchange of energy is, I can't be real and I cannot create life over here.
Absolutely.
So it's the same with acting.
You just have to create
It's the
life.
same. It's the same with acting. Creating a character is a very unique, and acting can be really sophisticated. And I'm quoting my French acting coach here. I've been lucky to work with some really wonderful directors, including my mother, and some great directors on film as well. Very, very, very talented people. So I'm really grateful and I'm really lucky. But I think as an actor, you have to do your own work. Like, I think the other thing is that as actors, we don't realize that we're the only artists who don't have a riyaz, you know. Everybody else does riyaz. Dancers do it, singers do it. So what the hell are we doing? We think by going on Instagram and posting reels, we're going to be like great at acting. It's not going to happen. So, I mean, you can do that too, but it doesn't make you a wonderful actor. So, there are things that you can do for your craft, which you should be doing, which I think is part of the creative process for any actor, as it should be, as it should be. So, everyone has their own way, but I think this is the way that I like. I like to feed, and then just be free.
Be free. So, Ira, have you ever said no to a character that felt correct professionally but not emotionally?
It's a really thoughtful question, I must say, which can have many ways of looking at it and quite a few layers if you look at it, unpack it. So I will unpack it the way that I think is right for me. There have been parts which I have been offered which seem right in terms of optics, again, the right banner or the right, or even very interesting characters. But I feel personally, it's not a question of emotionally. Rather than emotionally, I would rather use the word personally.
Personally, yeah.
Emotionally, I feel you've got to find everything that you can in a character. So if it was right for me professionally, I don't think emotionally there would be anything that would be dissonant for the character per se. But I think personally, there have been situations where you feel either there's not a synergy with the people working together, or there's a disrespect, or there's an exploitation, even though professionally it seems right. And those are the situations that I like to avoid. So there have been certain instances. There was a recent one, in fact, where I felt there was a mismatch in the energies of the people working together, and so I kind of left the project.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes you just
Though
got to do
it was a really
yeah.
interesting part. It was a wonderful part.
I hate when that happens, when you're super excited about doing something and then you're just like, okay, maybe this is better left alone.
Yeah, I think because at the end of the day, you have to go home and sleep and you have to be at peace.
You have to.
So, I mean, at what cost?
Yeah.
That's the real question.
How much are you
And it's a really interesting question because people, for everybody, that answer is different. It's different.
Ira, did any of the characters you played change your perception of life in any way?
Of course. So there are many. I would say some of my theatre work, a lot of my theatre work has done that. I've played a victim of sexual abuse on stage, which was a very powerful experience, which made me go down a path that I had to really understand very disturbing things and look at the reality of that, for example. So that definitely changed my perception in many ways. I played a part about a woman from our industry who was a path-breaking character, Devika Rani, who started a studio back in the 1940s with her husband, Himanshu Rai. That changed my perception of what women can be and what they can do. I played recently a woman called Fatima Jinnah, who was the sister of Jinnah, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was always in her brother's shadow, standing right behind him, but was so strong and contributed so much, not only to his journey, but after his death to Pakistan and women in Pakistan. So I think every part you play, of course, has to teach you something, has to move you. Yeah, beautifully said. It moves you. It shifts something in the way that you understand the world. So, I mean, 100%.
Yeah. You've spoken earlier about wanting more complexity in your female characters. How do you think that could evolve in the industry in terms of just females having more complexity in the characters?
Yeah, I think, again, it's a combination of all the factors that have been coming together to make that happen. I have been spoilt because I come from theatre, and so I've always had an opportunity to play some really rich, complex women. So I'm kind of spoilt, but I do feel that that's what's happening to cinema as well, and as it should. And I love characters that are flesh and blood, that don't fall prey to stereotypes, that are unafraid of humor, that have some kind of satire, some kind of subversion, and that are very truthful. Those are the kind of characters that really appeal to me. I think that we are writing those kind of women, and I think it's fantastic. And and I think both men and women have the ability to do it, which is what's interesting. So whether it's Yorgos Lanthimos, who writes women so beautifully and so uniquely, or Chloe Zhao, who just made Hamnet. I mean, women are complex, wonderful creatures, so they need to be portrayed like that. So what appeals to me is definitely right now is moving far away from stereotypes and really subverting those and really turning them on their heads and having humor and depth
In every character.
while doing it. Yeah.
What's one thing about the craft, Ira, that when you're starting out, no one tells you?
Talent isn't everything.
And why do you feel talent isn't everything?
Because it's a job first. So it's the craft, like we talked about earlier, that you need to work on. So just because you have a God-given talent, or you can sing, or you can dance, or you have some rhythm in your body, or you have some talent to tell stories, doesn't mean A, that's going to stay forever if you don't work at it. And B, it's a combination of so many things to survive in the world. And you learn as you go, you learn as you fall, you learn as you know.
Yeah.
Make
so mistakes.
And there's no one particular, you learn the rules of the game. And you have to learn the rules of the game to play. And whether you want to break them or not is up to you, and how you break them or not is up to you.
Yeah.
But I think that is a big misconception, that talent is everything.
That talent is everything.
Yeah.
Sira, there's a lot of pressure on marriage, and people look at it as like the hallmark of success. What is your personal opinion on emotional fulfillment and like companionship?
I think the idea of marriage has really changed from our parents and our grandparents' generation, and I believe in the generations to come, marriage will probably become obsolete. It is a piece of paper, it is a contract. Marriages back in the day were marriages of family, marriages of businesses, marriages of nations, so they had a very different connotation. When it comes to a relationship or a partnership between two people, it is an understanding which doesn't really require a piece of paper, according to me. When I was younger, it is conditioning also. I think what you said is very interesting, that it is a mark of fulfillment for a woman. It is a status symbol, it is a mark of fulfillment, it is one of the roles that she must play. And I think all those ideas and those stereotypes are now, busted and disappearing, because which marriages and how many marriages are really, I'm not at all taking away from the fact that love, true love exists, and people can be companions for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years and make wonderful marriages. But how many marriages are wonderful? That's the truth that we must look at.
It's a very real question.
Very much. And I think that, again, because of the pressure of that word and the contract and the things that go with it, the
and
legalities.
Then society is like, oh, time is ticking, so there's like that.
Yes, so I think those pressures, the conditioning, the ideas surrounding it are the ones that really need to be done away with. At the end of the day, what is important is what is the understanding between me and you. What is the contract that we make to each other? And that is based on some very fundamental things, like respect, like trust, like acceptance. And that's it. And there's a freedom. I mean, there's a beautiful quote which has been, of course, used and used and used. But when you love someone, let them go. And the way to love truly is to let the person be who they are, to be free. So for me, I feel emotional fulfillment comes from many things in life, not only from a partner, but from your work, from your family, from your friends, from things that give you happiness and joy. And your partner is one of them.
Yeah.
So,
just features.
Yeah,
and
I think that if you're not emotionally fulfilled on your own, that's the danger. Then your partner will have to fill all those boxes, which is dangerous. And so when marriage or partnership becomes that, then it becomes difficult.
And too much pressure.
It becomes suffocating. It becomes emotionally overwhelming to navigate. So I think your fulfillment in life has to come from various places. Your relationship is one of them. And if you're lucky enough to have a person who accepts you for what you are, who respects you, who wants to see you grow and evolve and be happy and fly and, is really your person and who has your back no matter what, you're very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely lucky.
You're very lucky.
That 1%
And marriage or no marriage. I mean, for me, again, I must admit this, that when I was younger, for me, marriage was less important, but I've always wanted to be a mum. So I used to always say, I don't care so much about the husband, but I want a baby. And I think the universe has heard me loud and clear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think to each their own, but this is what it means to me.
To you, yeah. So, Ira, what is the biggest thing that theatre has taught you that life hasn't, or vice versa?
That's such a cool question. It's such a cool question. Theatre's taught me to be in the moment. Theatre's taught me that not everything changes. Nothing stays the same. That you can't ever step in the same river twice, to paraphrase some great person, I think. And listening is everything. And I think life has taught me all that and more. It's that old saying that art imitates life and life imitates art.
Beautiful. What's one piece of advice that you've gotten that has like stayed with you?
Failure teaches you more than success.
Ira, what is one thing that you think people would be surprised to know about you?
Oh, there's so many. I'll never tell. No, well, recently that I enjoy Vipassana.
Yeah. And how has that like changed the way you look at life?
Oh, it's changed it a lot. They're very internal, deep shifts that are very difficult to explain. Everyone has their own journey with any spiritual practice, and I don't know. I've felt both the times that I've done the 10-day sessions have been really, really powerful, and I'm looking forward to going again this year. So
Lovely.
Yeah.
I'd love to join you.
Yeah, I think it's something that everybody, I think there's no formula and no recipe that works one for all as far as any spiritual practice is concerned. Again, this is such a murky, I think, abused, misunderstood kind of an area that people talk about. And I don't know, I like to stay away from it because I think it's such a private thing. But it's important in the world we live in, I think, to have something that takes you out of yourself every day is very, very important.
What does your perfect day off look like? Where you have absolutely nothing to do.
Reading, sleeping, eating yummy food, hanging with my dogs, with people I love, and watching a great, great film.
Lovely. Are you more of a planner? Are you more spontaneous?
Spontaneous.
So you're just
I wish I was more of the former, but I'm definitely the latter.
Yeah. Are you someone who preps a lot or will just like go about it in the moment? I
Both.
think you're someone who preps.
Both.
Yeah.
You've seen today. Very
Yeah.
good. Well noted. I also do my homework. I like to do my homework, but then I like to let it go also.
Yeah, just like be.
Yeah, I think you've got to do both in life.
What makes you laugh instantly?
You today.
I'm so glad I'm making someone laugh.
Yes. And at the moment also Catherine O'Hara, because I'm rewatching Schitt's Creek and she's
so good. Ira, what's one thing that instantly improves your mood?
I had a very cheeky thing that popped into my mind, but I won't say that. Super naughty. So, coffee, my dogs, music, the sea, so many things.
So many things. If you weren't an actor, what would you be doing?
Writing, directing.
If your life right now was a movie, what genre would it be?
Tragicomedy.
If you could swap lives with a character you played, who would it be?
Devika Rani. I want to know what it was like to be a producer, actress, star back in the 1940s. That would have been cool.
Lovely. Now I'm just going to jump into the rapid fire. Theatre or screen?
Theatre to act, screen to direct.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
A movie you can watch on repeat?
Jerry Maguire.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Chocolate.
Favorite travel memory?
Going to a place called Montepulciano with my family when my father was alive, because we had so much fun just pronouncing that word.
Yeah.
And we traveled all over Italy and it was magical.
It's really on my list for so long.
Magical.
Italy's on my list for so long. An accessory or a beauty product you cannot leave your house without?
My new eyebrow gel.
Okay. Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Scripted or improvised?
Both.
First take or 10th take?
10th take, because you never know what you're going to get.
Fair enough. Overthinking or instinct?
I'm an overthinker, but I think you need to follow your instinct. I need to follow my instinct more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Book or movie?
Book.
One role you wish you played.
Lovey or Rose, Marianne Cotillard.
One role you would never play.
I don't think there's any such role. Give it to me. Bring it on.
Favorite emotion to perform.
Emotions are changing all the time. So there's no favorite. Happiness could become tears in a second.
Yeah. Actor you admire.
Robert De Niro, Dustin Hoffman, Meryl Streep, Kate Blanchett.
One word your friends use for you.
Passionate, loving,
Loving. One word you would use for yourself.
loving.
Opening night, excitement or nerves?
Both.
Both.
Both are necessary. One is leaning into the other constantly.
Perfection or honesty in acting?
Honesty in acting.
Bold roles or subtle roles?
No such thing.
Thank you so much, Ira, for coming this afternoon. This was such a beautiful, insightful conversation.
It
Thank you so
really
much.
was. It was
Thank you
wonderful
so
being
much.
here.
Same.
Thank you.
Absolutely.